21. Black R&B legends who died. From gospel roots to chart-topping anthems, these legends shaped the very soul of music, but their lives also carried stories of resilience, controversy, and heartbreak. Aretha's commanding call for respect, Whitney's flawless power ballads, Marvin's socially conscious grooves, Tina's electrifying comeback, and Barry's deep velvet seduction all left an unshakable imprint. Yet behind the spotlight, battles with health addiction and personal demons took their toll. As we honor their artistry and influence, the question lingers: should we celebrate them solely for their music, or also confront the complex, sometimes painful realities that shaped their legacies? Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin, known as the Queen of Soul, was one of the most influential and powerful voices in the history of music. Born on March 25, 1942 in Memphis, Tennessee, Franklin's talent was evident from a young age. She grew up in a religious household, with her father, C.L. Franklin, being a prominent Baptist preacher, which exposed her to gospel music early on. Her powerful, emotive voice was first nurtured in church, where she sang hymns and developed a deep connection to music. Franklin's career took off in the late 1950s when she signed with Columbia Records at the age of 18. However, it was her transition to Atlantic Records in 1967 that marked the beginning of her legendary success. Her first hit, with Atlantic I Never Loved a Man, The Way I Love You, catapulted her into stardom, and she quickly became known for her ability to fuse gospel R&B and pop into a style that was uniquely her own. Hits like Respect, Think, Chain of Fools, and You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman defined her as an iconic figure in American music. Throughout her career, Franklin was recognized not only for her vocal ability, but also for her emotional depth and the way she conveyed powerful messages through her music. She was the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1987 and won 18 Grammy Awards, making her one of the most awarded artists in history. Her influence reached far beyond music, as she became a symbol of strength, resilience, and the civil rights movement. Franklin used her platform to speak on issues of racial justice and equality, giving voice to the marginalized. Sadly, Aretha Franklin's health began to decline in the 2010s. In 2010, she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, which she battled privately for several years. Despite her illness, Franklin continued to perform and record music, delivering stunning performances even in the face of adversity. Her final public performance was in November 2017 at the Elton John AIDS Foundation's charity gala. Aretha Franklin passed away on August 16, 2018 at the age of 76 in Detroit, Michigan. Her death was attributed to complications from pancreatic cancer. The world mourned the loss of a legend whose music not only changed the course of popular music, but also played a crucial role in the empowerment of women and Black Americans. Franklin's death marked the end of an era, but her legacy lives on in her timeless music and her lasting impact on culture. Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston was born on August 9, 1963 in Newark, New Jersey, into a musical family. Her mother, Cissy Houston, was a well-known gospel singer, and her cousin Dionne Warwick was a legendary pop and R&B star. Surrounded by music, Whitney's vocal talent became evident at a young age. By the age of 11, she was already singing in the junior gospel choir at New Hope Baptist Church in Newark. And it wasn't long before her incredible vocal range and stage presence caught the attention of the world. Houston's professional career began in the early 1980s when she was discovered by Clive Davis, the president of Arista Records. In 1985, she released her self-titled debut album, which quickly turned her into a global superstar. With hits like The Greatest Love of All and How Will I Know, Whitney became one of the most recognizable voices in music. Her second album, Whitney, released in 1987, solidified her place as a dominant figure in pop and R&B. Songs like I Wanna Dance with Somebody Who Loves Me and Didn't We Almost Have It All became anthems of the 80s, and Whitney's voice was praised for its power, purity, and emotion. Houston's success continued through the 1990s, with her acting career also taking off. She starred in the hit film The Bodyguard, 1992, alongside Kevin Costner, which featured the iconic song I Will Always Love You. The song not only became one of the best-selling singles of all time, but also showcased Whitney's ability to take a song and make it her own, pouring her heart and soul into every note. Over her career, she won numerous awards, including 6 Grammy Awards, 22 American Music Awards, and 16 Billboard Music Awards. Despite her professional success, Whitney Houston's personal life was often filled with turmoil. In 1992, she married singer Bobby Brown, and their tumultuous relationship became a topic of public scrutiny. The couple's struggles with substance abuse were widely reported, and Houston's career began to suffer as a result. By the early 2000s, her once pristine voice seemed to falter, and her struggles with addiction overshadowed her musical legacy. In the years leading up to her death, Whitney attempted to reclaim her career with mixed success. She performed in several concerts and released a few albums, but her personal issues continued to make headlines. Her battle with drugs, alcohol, and erratic behavior caused concern among fans and family alike. Tragically, on February 11, 2012, Whitney Houston was found dead in her hotel room at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in Beverly Hills, California, at the age of 48. Her death was ruled as an accidental drowning in a bathtub with heart disease and cocaine use as contributing factors. Houston's passing shocked the world, as she had been one of the most influential voices in music history. Whitney's legacy, however, continues to resonate. Her unparalleled vocal ability, her contributions to both pop and R&B music, and her groundbreaking career have left an indelible mark on the entertainment industry. Whitney Houston remains an icon, remembered for her voice, her charm, and the emotional depth she brought to every performance. Despite the struggles she faced, she is forever etched in the annals of music history as one of the greatest singers of all time. Luther Vandross. Luther Vandross, born on April 20, 1951 in New York City, was one of the most celebrated R&B artists of all time, known for his smooth, velvet voice and ability to convey deep emotion through his music. Vandross was raised in a musical family, and his mother, Mary Ida Vandross, was a major influence on his early interest in music. As a teenager, he joined the choir at his church, where his talent was nurtured. Vandross later attended the prestigious Western Michigan University, where he studied music, further honing his craft. Luther's career began in the late 1970s as a background singer and commercial jingle vocalist, working with artists such as David Bowie and Barbra Streisand. His breakthrough came when he released his debut album Luther in 1981. The album was a huge success, and Vandross quickly became known for his emotive delivery and sophisticated romantic ballads. Songs like Never Too Much and Don't You Know that helped solidify his place in the spotlight. His smooth falsetto and ability to captivate listeners with his lyrics set him apart in the crowded music scene. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Vandross continued to produce hit after hit. His 1982 album, Forever for Always for Love, contained one of his most iconic songs, Superstar, which became a fan favorite. His 1985 album, Vandross, included the hit, If Only for One Night, while Give Me the Reason, 1986, and Any Love. 1988 produced chart-topping singles like I Really Didn't Mean It and Any Love. Luther's appeal was far-reaching not just in the R&B world, but also with mainstream audiences, with his music often crossing over into pop and adult contemporary charts. Vandross's ability to make every song feel like a personal confession earned him the title of one of the greatest male vocalists in the history of R&B. He won 8 Grammy Awards, and his influence extended beyond his own music. He worked with other artists as a producer, and his songwriting was revered across genres. His romantic ballads in particular became wedding staples and were frequently played in intimate, heartfelt moments. Despite his success, Vandross faced several health challenges throughout his life, particularly with his weight and diabetes. In April 2003, Luther Vandross suffered a massive stroke that left him in a coma for several months. His health worsened after the stroke, and he required intensive rehabilitation. Although Vandross made efforts to return to performing and recording, his health continued to decline in the years that followed. Luther Vandross passed away on July 1, 2005 at the age of 54 in Edison, New Jersey, due to complications from the stroke. His death marked the end of an era in R&B, leaving behind a legacy of timeless music and soulful ballads that continue to resonate with fans worldwide. His ability to express love, heartbreak, and vulnerability through his voice made him a beloved figure in the music industry. Vandross's music remains a testament to his unique voice and unparalleled ability to touch the hearts of millions. His songs such as Dance with My Father, Here and Now, and A House Is Not a Home continue to be celebrated as some of the best R&B songs of all time, ensuring that his legacy as a soul and R&B icon lives on. Luther Vandross will always be remembered as the crooner who captured the essence of love and romance in his music, leaving an indelible mark on the world of music. Teddy Pendergrass. Teddy Pendergrass, born on March 26, 1950 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, was a renowned R&B singer whose powerful, soulful voice became an iconic sound of the 1970s and 1980s. From an early age, Pendergrass was drawn to music and started singing in church as a child, where he was mentored by his mother, who was a gospel singer. His early exposure to gospel music greatly influenced his vocal style, which was rich, deep, and emotive. Pendergrass first gained attention as the lead singer of the legendary group Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. His soulful voice was featured on hits like If You Don't Know Me By Now and Wake Up Everybody, which became anthems of the 1970s. After his success with the group, Pendergrass embarked on a solo career that would define his legacy. In 1977, he released his debut album, Teddy Pendergrass, which included the hit song, I Don't Love You Anymore. His subsequent albums solidified his reputation as a soul and R&B powerhouse, with songs like Turn Off the Lights, Close the Door, and Love TKO becoming staples of the genre. Known for his smooth, seductive delivery, Pendergrass became a major force in R&B and soul music. His music was synonymous with romance, and he was known for his intimate ballads that resonated deeply with his audiences. Pendergrass's vocal range, commanding stage presence, and ability to connect with his listeners made him one of the most beloved artists of his time. However, Pendergrass's life took a tragic turn in 1982 when he was involved in a car accident that left him paralyzed from the waist down. Despite the immense physical and emotional challenges that followed, Pendergrass made an inspiring return to the music scene. His resilience and determination led to the release of several albums in the years that followed, though his career was never quite the same as it had been before the accident. Teddy Pendergrass passed away on January 13, 2010, at the age of 59 due to complications from colon cancer. Though his life was marked by both triumph and adversity, Pendergrass's contributions to R&B music have left an enduring legacy. His timeless ballads and powerful voice continue to influence and inspire artists today, and his name remains synonymous with the passion and soul of classic R&B. Donny Hathaway. Donny Hathaway, born on January 20, 1945 in Chicago, Illinois, was a gifted musician, singer, and songwriter whose soulful voice left a lasting imprint on the world of R&B and soul music. Hathaway grew up in a musical family, and his mother, who was a gospel singer, introduced him to music at an early age. He developed a love for jazz and gospel, which would later influence his unique blend of soul, jazz, and blues. Hathaway's musical talent was clear early on, and he went on to study music at Howard University, where he met many influential figures in the music industry. Hathaway's breakthrough came in the late 1960s when he signed with Atlantic Records. His debut album, Everything Is Everything, 1970, was a critical success, introducing his powerful voice and socially conscious lyrics to a wider audience. The album produced the hit song The Ghetto, which became an anthem for the Black community, and showcased Hathaway's ability to merge social commentary with deep emotion. His musical style, which combined rich harmonies, lush orchestration, and heartfelt lyrics, captured the essence of soul music at the time. One of Hathaway's most enduring collaborations was with the legendary Roberta Flack. The two singers created some of the most beautiful and timeless duets in R&B history, including hits like Where Is the Love and You've Got a Friend. Their chemistry in the studio was undeniable, and their work together elevated both of their careers. Hathaway's solo hits, such as A Song for You, For All We Know, and This Christmas also became widely beloved classics that remain staples of holiday playlists and soul music collections. Despite his professional success, Donny Hathaway struggled with mental health issues throughout his life. He battled severe depression, which affected both his personal life and his career. These struggles, along with his increasing reliance on drugs, made it difficult for him to maintain the stability he sought. Hathaway's mental health challenges were exacerbated by the pressures of fame and the constant battle to meet the expectations of the music industry. Tragically, on January 13, 1979, Donny Hathaway was found dead at the age of 33 after falling from a hotel window in New York City. The circumstances surrounding his death remain controversial, and while it was officially ruled a suicide, many fans and close associates believe his death was accidental or related to his struggles with mental health. Hathaway's untimely death shocked the music world as he was just beginning to hit his artistic stride, and his potential was limitless. Though his career was cut short, Donny Hathaway's music continues to resonate with listeners around the world. His rich emotional voice and his ability to convey vulnerability and passion in his songs have made him an enduring figure in soul music. Hathaway's legacy lives on through his timeless recordings, which continue to inspire artists and listeners alike. Phyllis Hyman. Phyllis Hyman, born on July 6, 1949 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, was one of the most distinctive voices in R&B and soul music. Raised in a musical household, Hyman's passion for singing was evident from a young age. She studied at the Philadelphia School for the Creative and Performing Arts, where she honed her vocal skills and soon made her way into the vibrant Philadelphia music scene of the 1970s. Her deep, soulful voice, combined with her elegance and beauty, quickly made her a standout artist. Hyman's music career began with a series of background vocals and songwriting contributions. She gained attention in the mid-1970s when she worked with producer Norman Connors on his album You Are My Starship 1976, which featured the hit Betcha by Golly Wow. The song was a breakthrough for Hyman, and she quickly secured a record deal with Arista Records. Her debut album, Phyllis Hyman 1977, showcased her remarkable vocal range and emotional depth, but it was her 1979 album, Somewhere in My Lifetime, that truly solidified her place in the R&B world. The title track became a massive hit, and her sophisticated, sultry style captured the hearts of many listeners. Hyman's music was characterized by a mixture of jazz, R&B, and soul, and she was known for her ability to blend these genres seamlessly, infusing them with her unique sound. She released several successful albums throughout the 1980s, including Living All Alone 1986 and Prime of My Life 1991. Songs like Don't Wanna Change You, Living All Alone, and You Know How to Love Me became some of her most iconic tracks, showcasing her incredible vocal ability and emotional delivery. Despite her musical success, Phyllis Hyman's life was marked by personal struggles, including battles with depression and substance abuse. She was open about her challenges, and her vulnerability resonated with many fans. She often poured her heart into her music, using it as an outlet for her emotional pain. However, these struggles took a toll on her health and career. On June 30, 1995, Phyllis Hyman's life tragically came to an end when she died of an apparent suicide at the age of 45. She had been struggling with severe depression and the pressures of her career. Her death shocked the music community, as she had so much more to offer as an artist. Her family and friends later revealed that she had struggled with loneliness and feelings of isolation in the years leading up to her death. Hyman's untimely passing left a void in the world of soul music, but her music continues to live on, inspiring a new generation of listeners. Phyllis Hyman's voice remains a symbol of grace, strength, and emotional depth, and she is remembered as one of the finest vocalists in the history of R&B and soul. Natalie Cole. Natalie Cole, born on February 6, 1950 in Los Angeles, California, was destined to be a star. The daughter of legendary jazz singer Nat King Cole and singer Maria Hawkins Ellington. Natalie was surrounded by music from the moment she was born. Raised in a household filled with musical greatness, she was introduced to the world of jazz, blues, and R&B early on. Her father's influence was immeasurable, and she was determined to follow in his footsteps, though she would go on to carve out her own unique space in the music industry. Natalie Cole's career took off in the 1970s when she signed with Capitol Records and released her debut album, Inseparable, 1975. The album was a commercial success with the title track and the hit This Will Be an Everlasting Love propelling her to stardom. She became known for her smooth, sultry voice and the blend of pop soul and R&B in her music. Her signature style was warm, inviting, and effortlessly elegant, and she quickly became one of the most beloved artists of her time. Throughout the 1980s, Cole released a series of successful albums including Thankful, 1977, and Unforgettable, with Love, 1991, the latter of which became a massive commercial and critical success. Unforgettable. With Love was a tribute to her late father, Nat King Cole, and featured Natalie duetting with his pre-recorded vocals on the song Unforgettable. This album not only won numerous awards, including 6 Grammy Awards, but it also reintroduced her to a new generation of music lovers. It was an emotional and heartfelt tribute that connected Natalie to her father's legacy in a profound way. Despite her success, Natalie Cole faced personal struggles, including a battle with drug addiction and a tumultuous personal life. She was open about her struggles and used them as a source of inspiration in her music. Her comeback story was one of resilience as she overcame her addiction and continued to make music throughout the 1990s and 2000s. She remained active in the music industry, releasing albums and performing live, always staying true to her roots and her father's legacy. Tragically, on December 31, 2015, Natalie Cole passed away at the age of 65 due to complications from congestive heart failure. She had been dealing with health issues related to her long-standing battle with kidney disease, which had caused her significant challenges in the years leading up to her death. Natalie's death was met with an outpouring of grief from fans and the music industry, as she was remembered not only for her musical talent, but also for her strength and determination in overcoming adversity. Natalie Cole's legacy is one of immense musical achievement. She will forever be remembered for her contribution to music and for the way she honored her father's legacy while creating her own. Her voice and songs continue to inspire listeners, and she remains one of the greatest artists in the history of R&B and soul music. Sylvester. Sylvester James Jr., known mononymously as Sylvester, was born on September 6, 1947, in Los Angeles, California. He was one of the most iconic figures in the disco era and a trailblazer for the LGBTQ+ community. Sylvester's passion for music and performance was evident from a young age. Raised in a religious household, he initially found solace in singing gospel music at church, but his true calling came in the world of soul, disco, and dance music. In the 1970s, Sylvester moved to San Francisco, where he became part of the burgeoning queer music scene. He joined the influential soul group, the Disquotés, and later performed with the legendary Silvers. However, his big break came when he formed his own band, Sylvester and the Hot Band. With a voice that spanned an incredible range, combining high falsetto with deep soulful tones, Sylvester's distinctive sound made him a standout performer. His 1978 album, Sylvester, marked his first breakthrough with the hit single, You Make Me Feel Mighty Real. The song became an anthem of the disco era, and its infectious rhythm and upbeat vibe earned Sylvester a dedicated fan base. Sylvester's success continued with hits like Dance Disco Heat and I Who Have Nothing. He became known for his powerful stage presence, flamboyant fashion, and unapologetically bold style, both musically and personally. As one of the first openly gay African-American artists in mainstream music, Sylvester was a symbol of freedom and self-expression for the LGBTQ+ community. His music, often infused with themes of liberation and love, resonated with fans across the globe, and he quickly became a figurehead for the disco movement. Throughout the 1980s, Sylvester remained a prominent figure in pop and dance music. His 1982 album, Living for the City, featured the hit Do You Wanna Funk, which continued his streak of successful danceable anthems. His music was often celebrated for its inclusivity, reflecting the diversity of the people who followed him. He also became a part of the emerging New York City club scene, performing in iconic venues and solidifying his status as a queer icon. Sylvester's health, however, began to decline in the early 1980s. In 1987, he was diagnosed with HIV/AIDS, and although he continued to perform, his health took a serious toll. On December 16, 1988, Sylvester passed away from complications related to the disease, leaving a profound impact on the music world. He was 41 years old. His death marked the loss of a true innovator in the music industry, but his legacy as a pioneer for LGBTQ+ rights and a queen of disco lives on. Sylvester's influence can still be seen in today's music, especially within the LGBTQ+ community, and his music continues to bring joy and empowerment to listeners worldwide. Rick James. Born James Ambrose Johnson Jr. on February 1, 1948 in Buffalo, New York, was a force of nature in the world of funk, soul, and R&B music. His infectious blend of funk, rock, and soul helped define the sound of the late 1970s and early 1980s. James's early life was filled with challenges, and after a troubled childhood and a stint in the U.S. Navy, he returned to Detroit, where he began working with various musical groups, including the Mina Birds, a rock band signed to Motown in the mid-1960s. After a few years of struggle, James began to find his true voice in the music industry. In 1978, he released his debut album, Come Get It, which produced his first hit single, You and I. The song was a breakthrough for James, and he quickly became known for his electric stage presence, distinctive vocal style, and his ability to blend funk with a rock edge. His deep, raspy voice and unapologetic attitude made him stand out in the funk scene, and his music was infectious, filled with rhythms that demanded listeners to dance. James's popularity soared with the release of his 1981 album, Street Songs, which included his signature hit, Super Freak. The song became a worldwide smash, a pop culture staple, and remains one of his most iconic tracks. Super Freak epitomized Rick James's ability to create an irresistible mix of funk humor and catchy hooks. It solidified his place as a mainstream star and turned him into a household name. The success of Street Songs helped James become one of the most influential artists of the 1980s, alongside contemporaries like Prince and Michael Jackson. Throughout the 1980s, James continued to dominate the charts with hits like Give It To Me, Baby, Mary Jane, and Cold-Blooded. His music was characterized by infectious grooves, catchy melodies, and lyrics that often pushed boundaries. Rick James's persona was larger than life, known for his wild style, extravagant fashion choices, and hard-partying lifestyle. He was also a prolific producer, working with a variety of artists and helping to shape the careers of others, including Tina Marie, his frequent collaborator. However, Rick James' career was also marked by controversy and personal struggles. His heavy drug use and run-ins with the law often overshadowed his musical career. In the mid-1990s, he was arrested and convicted on charges related to drug use and assault, which led to a period of incarceration. Despite these struggles, James remained a beloved figure in the world of music, often looking back on his tumultuous life with humor and self-awareness. Rick James passed away on August 6, 2004, at the age of 56 due to cardiac arrest, which was likely caused by his years of drug abuse. His death marked the loss of one of the most influential and unique figures in funk music. James's contributions to the genre are undeniable, and his songs remain timeless. Super Freak continues to be a cultural reference, and his influence can still be seen in today's music. Rick James will always be remembered for his boldness, his innovative sound, and his larger-than-life personality that captured the spirit of funk. Tammy Terrell. Tammy Terrell. Born Thomasina. Winifred Montgomery on April 29, 1945 in Philadelphia. Pennsylvania was one of Motown's brightest stars. She was a gifted singer with a voice that resonated deeply with soul music lovers. Growing up in a musical household, Terrell's love for music was apparent from an early age. She attended Philadelphia's High School of Creative and Performing Arts, where she began developing her vocal talents. Her big break came in the mid-1960s when she was discovered by Motown Records and signed to the label. Terrell's first major hit came when she was paired with the legendary Marvin Gaye. Their duets became some of the most iconic songs in Motown history, with hits like Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Your Precious Love, and If I Could Build My Whole World Around You. Their musical chemistry was undeniable, and their partnership brought a freshness to Motown's already successful formula. Terrell's ability to deliver passionate and heartfelt performances paired with Gaye's smooth vocals made them one of the most beloved duos in soul music. Her career, however, was cut tragically short. Despite her success in the early years, Terrell was diagnosed with a brain tumor in 1967, and she battled the illness for several years. During this time, she continued to record and perform, although her health was deteriorating. In 1970, while on stage with Marvin Gaye, she collapsed in his arms. She had to be hospitalized and later had surgery for the tumor, which was ultimately diagnosed as a form of cancer. Despite her struggle with illness, Tammy Terrell's spirit remained strong, and she recorded more music before her health worsened. Unfortunately, the battle took its toll on her, and on March 16, 1970, at the age of 24, Tammy Terrell passed away from complications related to her brain tumor. Her death came just as her career was reaching new heights, and the world lost a gifted artist far too soon. Tammy Terrell's legacy lives on through her unforgettable duets with Marvin Gaye and her contribution to the Motown sound. Her voice and presence continue to inspire generations of artists and listeners, and she remains an enduring figure in the history of soul and R&B music. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye, born on April 2, 1939 in Washington, D.C., was one of the most influential and groundbreaking artists in the history of R&B, soul, and pop music. Raised in a religious household, Gaye initially sang in the church choir where his powerful voice was noticed early on. He later moved to Detroit, Michigan, where he began working with the legendary Motown Records. Gaye's musical journey began in the late 1950s when he joined Harvey Fuqua's group, The Moonglows. His distinctive voice, which blended smooth falsetto and soulful depth, made him stand out, and soon he was signed to Motown. In the 1960s, Gaye became a fixture in Motown's roster, releasing hit after hit with songs like Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Heard It, Through the Grapevine, and I Heard It Through the Grapevine. He was often referred to as the Prince of Motown, due to his smooth, sensual voice and ability to connect with listeners on an emotional level. Gaye's music, particularly his romantic ballads, resonated deeply with audiences and helped define the sound of 1960s soul music. However, it was Gaye's 1971 album, What's Going On, that cemented his legacy as one of the greatest artists of all time. The album, which tackled social issues such as poverty, war, and environmental destruction, was groundbreaking both musically and thematically. The title track, What's Going On, became a timeless anthem for social justice, and the album is widely regarded as one of the most important in the history of American music. Gaye's ability to merge political and social commentary with soul music was revolutionary and set him apart from his contemporaries. Throughout the 1970s, Gaye continued to innovate, releasing albums like Let's Get It On, 1973, and I Want You, 1976, both of which showcased his versatility and his ability to explore themes of love, sensuality, and desire. These albums brought him even greater commercial success, and he became known for his smooth, seductive ballads, as well as his ability to fuse genres like soul funk and pop. Despite his professional success, Marvin Gaye's personal life was tumultuous. He struggled with depression, drug addiction, and marital problems, particularly with his second wife, Janice Gaye. The pressures of fame combined with his personal issues created a storm that led to periods of isolation and emotional distress for the artist. Tragically, Marvin Gaye's life was cut short on April 1, 1984, just one day before his 45th birthday. He was shot and killed by his father, Marvin Gaye Sr., after a heated argument in their family home in Los Angeles. The incident was a shocking and tragic end to the life of one of the greatest voices in music history. His death left a void in the music world as Gaye's talents and creativity were still flourishing at the time of his passing. Marvin Gaye's influence is still felt today. His music has had a profound impact on soul, R&B, and pop music, and he remains an icon in the world of music. His timeless hits, his social consciousness, and his soulful voice continue to inspire new generations of artists and listeners. Gaye's legacy is not just in his music, but also in the way he used his platform to address issues that were important to him and his community, making him not only a musical legend, but also a cultural trailblazer. Etta James. Etta James born. James Etta Hawkins, on January 25, 1938, in Los Angeles, California, was one of the most iconic and versatile voices in the history of American music. Growing up in a rough neighborhood, James faced many hardships, including being raised in foster care and dealing with a troubled childhood. Despite these challenges, music became her refuge, and she started singing gospel at church and in local clubs from a young age. At just 14 years old, she recorded her first single, The Wallflower, which became a hit and marked the beginning of her illustrious career. Etta James's ability to blend blues, jazz, gospel, and R&B made her one of the most respected and influential figures in music. Her powerful voice, with its rich, soulful depth, resonated deeply with audiences, and she quickly became known for her emotional delivery and commanding stage presence. Her 1961 hit At Last became one of her signature songs, and remains one of the most recognizable tracks in the history of soul and pop music. The song became an anthem of love and was later covered by many artists across various genres. Throughout her career, James released more than 30 albums and scored numerous hits. Songs like Tell Mama I'd Rather Go Blind and Something's Got a Hold on Me showcased her remarkable vocal range and her ability to infuse each song with heart and soul. Her style evolved over the years, blending traditional blues with elements of rock, soul, and pop, making her a crossover success. She earned 6 Grammy Awards and 17 Blues Music Awards, and her influence extended beyond music, with her story of overcoming adversity and addiction resonating with many fans. James's personal life was marked by struggle and turmoil. She battled drug addiction for much of her career, which led to periods of rehab and personal challenges. Despite these obstacles, she continued to perform and record, making a triumphant return to the stage after overcoming her addiction. She was known for her resilience, and her comeback story was inspiring to both her fans and fellow artists. On January 20, 2012, Etta James passed away at the age of 73 from leukemia, just 5 days shy of her 74th birthday. Her death marked the loss of a true legend in the music industry, but her legacy lives on through her timeless music. James's contribution to the blues, soul, and R&B genres is immeasurable, and she remains a towering figure in American music. Her voice, which could seamlessly move from heart-wrenching blues to joyous gospel, continues to inspire generations of musicians and fans alike. Al Green. Al Green, born on April 13, 1946 in Forest City, Arkansas, was one of the most influential and enduring figures in soul and gospel music. Raised in a religious family, Green grew up singing in church, and his early exposure to gospel music had a profound impact on his later musical style. His passion for singing and performing developed at a young age, and he moved to Memphis in the mid-1960s to pursue his musical career. Initially, Green began as a secular artist recording for various labels, but it was his association with High Records that would transform his career. In 1971, Green released his breakthrough album, Green is Blues, which introduced his smooth velvet voice and sensual style to the world. His distinctive falsetto and emotionally charged performances made him an instant star, and songs like Tired of Being Alone and Let's Stay Together solidified his place in the pantheon of soul music. Let's Stay Together in particular became one of his most iconic songs and is still regarded as one of the greatest soul songs of all time. Green's ability to convey deep emotion through his music, blending love and passion, made him a beloved figure in the genre. Throughout the 1970s, Al Green continued to release hit after hit, including songs like I'm Still in Love with You, Love and Happiness, and How Can You Mend a Broken Heart. His soulful voice, combined with his smooth delivery and romantic themes, made him a standout artist in both soul and pop music. Green's success continued into the 1980s, but his personal life was marked by a series of challenges. In the early 1970s, Green had a dramatic and life-changing encounter when his girlfriend Mary Woodson poured boiling hot grits on him during an argument, leaving him with severe burns. The incident deeply affected Green, and it led him to reconsider his life choices. Following this trauma, Green experienced a profound spiritual awakening, and in 1976, he left secular music to devote himself fully to gospel music. He became a pastor of the Full Gospel Tabernacle in Memphis, and released several successful gospel albums including The Lord Will Make a Way and Al Green Explores Your Mind. Although Green's music shifted to gospel, he continued to record and perform secular songs occasionally. His gospel albums were highly praised, and he was able to maintain a strong fan base despite the change in direction. Green's voice remained a cherished part of the soul and gospel music world, and his legacy continued to grow. In the 2000s, he returned to secular music, releasing albums and performing for both his gospel and soul music audiences. Al Green's legacy as one of the greatest voices in American music remains undeniable. His timeless hits, his ability to express vulnerability and love, and his profound spiritual journey make him a unique and respected figure in both the secular and religious music communities. Today, Green is remembered not only for his musical achievements, but also for his journey of redemption and his role in shaping the sound of soul music. Al Green is still alive, and his impact on music continues to be felt. His work in both gospel and soul music solidifies him as a legendary figure whose voice and message transcend time and genre. Curtis Mayfield. Curtis Mayfield, born on June 3, 1942 in Chicago, Illinois, was one of the most influential figures in the world of soul funk and R&B. Raised in a religious household, Mayfield's early exposure to gospel music helped shape his powerful, expressive voice. He began playing guitar at a young age and quickly developed a deep connection to the instrument. By the late 1950s, he was already involved in local gospel and R&B groups, but it was in the 1960s that he rose to prominence. Mayfield's career took off when he joined the group The Impressions in 1958. The group became a key part of the Chicago soul scene and scored major hits such as For Your Precious Love and People Get Ready. Mayfield's songwriting ability and his deep, socially conscious lyrics began to set him apart. His smooth falsetto voice combined with his sharp and insightful songwriting made The Impressions one of the most important R&B groups of the time. However, it was as a solo artist that Curtis Mayfield truly cemented his place in music history. His 1970 album Curtis became an instant classic with songs like Move On Up and If There's a Hell Below We're All Going to Go, showing off his remarkable ability to fuse socially aware lyrics with a powerful, funky sound. He became known for his ability to address pressing social issues, such as poverty, civil rights, and systemic injustice, all while delivering grooves that resonated deeply with listeners. Mayfield continued to create groundbreaking music throughout the 1970s. His soundtrack for the film Superfly 1972 became one of the most iconic in film history and is often credited with helping to shape the sound of 1970s funk and soul. The title track Superfly became one of his signature songs, and its message of empowerment and resistance resonated with many. His music combined a unique mix of funk soul and politically conscious themes, and his influence extended far beyond the music world. In the 1980s, Mayfield continued to evolve as an artist, experimenting with new sounds while maintaining his commitment to social justice and political activism. However, his life was changed in 1990 when he was paralyzed from the neck down after a stage accident. Despite this, Mayfield continued to perform and record, creating his final album, New World Order, in 1996. Curtis Mayfield passed away on December 26, 1999, at the age of 57 due to complications from diabetes. His death marked the end of an era for socially conscious soul music, but his legacy continues to thrive through his timeless music. Mayfield's contributions to music, particularly his fusion of soul funk and social commentary, solidified his place as one of the greatest songwriters and performers of all time. His work still resonates in today's music and culture, and his messages of hope, empowerment, and resistance continue to inspire artists and listeners alike. Billy Paul. Billy Paul, born Paul Williams on December 1, 1934 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, was one of the most distinctive voices in soul music during the 1970s. Raised in a family with a deep love for music, Paul was introduced to jazz and gospel music early on. His smooth baritone voice and ability to infuse emotion into his performances made him stand out in the crowded world of soul and R&B. Paul's early career saw him perform as a session singer and with several jazz bands. But his breakthrough came in 1972 with the release of his landmark album, 360 Degrees of Billy Paul. The album was a commercial and critical success thanks in large part to the massive hit single Me and Mrs. Jones. The song, a sultry ballad about a secret forbidden love affair, became an instant classic and remains one of Paul's signature songs. Me and Mrs. Jones reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and solidified Paul's reputation as a master of smooth, soulful ballads. The track's success helped propel 360 Degrees of Billy Paul to widespread recognition, and it became a defining moment in soul music. Throughout the 1970s, Billy Paul continued to release albums and produce hits that resonated with audiences. His 1973 album War of the Gods featured the hit War, which took on a more politically charged tone. With songs that addressed issues of race justice and societal struggles, Paul demonstrated his ability to blend soul with social commentary, much like his contemporaries Curtis Mayfield and Marvin Gaye. His music often combined elements of jazz, soul, and funk, showcasing his versatility as an artist. In the years that followed, Paul continued to tour and release albums, but his commercial success waned as the music industry shifted in the 1980s. Nonetheless, he remained an important figure in soul music, particularly for his ability to craft songs that captured complex emotions and social issues. His career spanned several decades, and his music continued to be appreciated by fans old and new who admired his unique voice and ability to create soulful, heartfelt music. Billy Paul's personal life was marked by a deep commitment to his family and his music. He continued to perform throughout his later years, maintaining a reputation for being a consummate professional and an artist who truly understood the power of a good song. His work influenced countless soul and R&B artists, and his legacy remains intact as one of the key voices of 1970s soul music. Billy Paul passed away on April 24, 2016, at the age of 81 from pancreatic cancer. His death was mourned by fans and artists alike, as he was remembered not only for his iconic hit Me and Mrs. Jones, but for his deep, soulful contributions to the world of music. Billy Paul's legacy lives on in the timeless quality of his music, which continues to touch the hearts of listeners around the world. Sly Stone. Sylvester Stewart, better known as Sly Stone, was born on March 15, 1943, in Denton, Texas. Stone's unique sound and visionary approach to music played a pivotal role in the development of funk music. He grew up in a musical family, and his early exposure to various genres like gospel, jazz, and blues deeply influenced his style. Stone was a multi-instrumentalist who could play the keyboard, guitar, and bass, and his eclectic musical influences allowed him to blend different styles in innovative ways. In the late 1960s, Sly Stone formed the band Sly and the Family Stone, which would go on to become one of the most influential acts of the funk era. The group's groundbreaking sound fused soul rock funk and psychedelia, breaking down racial and gender barriers in a time of social upheaval. Stone, who was openly inclusive, made a point of assembling a racially diverse band, and the band's success became a powerful statement of unity during the civil rights movement. Sly and the Family Stone's 1969 album Stand was a massive success and included the chart-topping hit Everyday People. The song's message of unity and equality resonated with people worldwide and became an anthem for social change. Another signature song, Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself, again released in 1970, showcased Stone's ability to fuse infectious funk grooves with deep social commentary. Throughout the early 1970s, Sly and the Family Stone continued to dominate the charts with hits like Family Affair and Hot Fun in the Summertime. Stone's innovative use of layered funk rhythms, catchy melodies, and socially conscious lyrics helped cement his place as one of the pioneers of funk music. His music was energetic, raw, and filled with vibrant psychedelic textures, all of which captured the spirit of the time. However, Sly Stone's career began to unravel in the late 1970s. His struggles with drugs and personal issues began to take a toll on his health and professional life. His behavior became erratic, and he stopped showing up for shows, causing turmoil in the band. By the mid-1980s, Stone had largely disappeared from the public eye, and his once thriving career was in decline. Sly Stone's legacy, however, remains intact. Despite his struggles with addiction and his later absence from the spotlight, his music continues to inspire generations of artists and listeners. Sly Stone's pioneering influence on funk, soul, and rock music cannot be overstated. His fusion of genres and his ability to challenge conventions made him a true trailblazer in the world of music. His legacy is woven into the fabric of modern funk, hip-hop, and even pop music. Stone's later life was marked by legal battles, personal struggles, and a period of relative obscurity, but in the years leading up to his 70s, he made efforts to perform and reconnect with his audience. His impact on music, however, remains indelible, with songs like Dance to the Music, I Want to Take You Higher, and Thank You continuing to inspire musicians and fans alike. Sly Stone's story is one of genius, creativity, and tragedy, but his contribution to music is undeniable. George Clinton. George Clinton, born on July 22, 1941 in Kannapolis, North Carolina, is one of the most revolutionary figures in the history of funk music. Known for his wild, eclectic style and larger-than-life persona, Clinton became the driving force behind the funk movement of the 1970s and beyond. Growing up in a musically inclined family, Clinton was heavily influenced by gospel, blues, and jazz. He started his career in the 1950s as a doo-wop singer, but it wasn't until the 1960s that he began experimenting with a more eclectic sound that would eventually define his career. Clinton's breakthrough came in the early 1970s, when he formed the bands Parliament and Funkadelic, which would go on to redefine the concept of funk music. Funkadelic's self-titled debut album was released in 1970, and it was unlike anything that had come before it. The band's blend of psychedelic rock, soul, and funky rhythms laid the foundation for Clinton's vision of a new musical genre, with Funkadelic. Clinton pushed the boundaries of traditional funk music, infusing it with experimental sounds, hard-hitting grooves, and deeply political messages. In the mid-1970s, Clinton expanded his vision by also leading the Parliament Funkadelic Collective, which brought together a sprawling cast of musicians, singers, and performers to create a unique musical universe. The band's 1975 album Mothership Connection became a milestone in funk music, introducing the iconic P-Funk sound. The album's hit single, Give Up the Funk, Tear the Roof Off the Sucker, became an anthem of the genre, and its combination of hard funk grooves, futuristic sounds, and social consciousness made it one of the most influential albums in the history of funk. Clinton's style was flamboyant, colorful, and deeply theatrical, and his concerts were known for their wild, eccentric performances. His on-stage presence, complete with outrageous costumes and props such as the mothership spaceship, became symbolic of the funk movement. His use of costumes and elaborate stage shows made him a central figure in both music and popular culture. Clinton's influence extended beyond music, as his image and persona were integral to the development of the funk aesthetic. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Clinton's influence on popular music remained significant. His work with artists such as Prince, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Ice Cube brought his P-Funk sound to new generations, and his legacy continued to inspire musicians across genres. Clinton's music, with its themes of unity, freedom, and rebellion, continues to resonate with fans worldwide. While his career has seen ups and downs with periods of financial difficulties and struggles with addiction, Clinton has remained a vital figure in music. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1997 as part of Parliament Funkadelic, cementing his place in music history as one of the architects of funk and a pioneering force in shaping modern popular music. George Clinton's work with Parliament and Funkadelic laid the foundation for the development of hip-hop, rap, and modern pop music. His unique sound and visionary approach to funk music have made him a towering figure in American music history, and his influence can be heard in the works of countless artists today. Bobby Womack. Bobby Womack, born on March 4, 1944 in Cleveland, Ohio, was one of the most influential soul and R&B singers of the 20th century. Raised in a musical family, Womack's early years were filled with music, and by the time he was a teenager, he was already performing in his family's gospel group. However, his real breakthrough came in the 1960s when he joined the group The Valentinos, led by his father, Friendly Womack. The Valentinos' 1964 hit, Looking for a Love, was a turning point in Bobby's career. But it was his decision to pursue a solo career that truly defined him as an artist. Womack's voice, which ranged from smooth and tender to raw and gritty, became one of the most recognizable in soul and R&B music. His 1968 debut album, Bobby Womack Sings Soul, laid the foundation for his successful solo career. His success skyrocketed in the 1970s with songs like That's the Way I Feel About Cha and If You Think You're Lonely Now, which became soul classics. Womack's ability to capture the nuances of love, longing, and heartbreak in his songs made him one of the most emotionally compelling voices of the era. His music was marked by a deep, soulful intensity, and he was known for weaving complex narratives about love, betrayal, and passion. His sound blended elements of gospel soul and blues, and Womack's songwriting, which often drew from his own personal experiences, resonated with audiences worldwide. His music was timeless, with hits like Across 110th Street, the title track from the 1972 film of the same name, cementing his place in soul and pop culture. The song became a standout classic known for its infectious rhythm and socially conscious lyrics, and remains one of Womack's most iconic tracks. However, Womack's career was marked by personal and professional challenges, which included battles with drug addiction, relationship struggles, and tragic events in his personal life. Perhaps one of the most well-known and controversial events was his marriage to Sam Cooke's widow, Barbara, shortly after Cooke's tragic death. These struggles often shaped his music, adding layers of complexity to his lyrics and performances. Bobby Womack continued to release albums throughout the 1980s and 1990s, though his popularity declined with changing musical trends. Despite this, his influence on R&B soul and even the emerging hip-hop scene was undeniable. In the 2010s, Womack made a triumphant return to the spotlight with his album The Bravest Man in the Universe, produced by Damon Albarn. The album received critical acclaim and introduced Womack to a new generation of fans. Womack's life was also tragically marked by health issues, including prostate cancer. He passed away on June 27, 2014 at the age of 70. His death was mourned deeply by fans and artists alike, as he had been one of the most soulful and influential voices in music. Bobby Womack's legacy continues to live on through his timeless music, which remains a powerful reflection of the human experience and its complexities. Barry White. Barry White, born on September 12, 1944 in Galveston, Texas, was the epitome of smooth, seductive soul. With his deep baritone voice and romantic persona, White became one of the most beloved figures in R&B and disco music. His career spanned several decades, during which he became synonymous with love songs and intimacy. Raised in Los Angeles, White was deeply influenced by gospel, doo-wop, and classical music, which shaped his distinctive musical style. In the early 1970s, White launched his career with the formation of his group Love Unlimited, which would later provide backing vocals for his solo work. His 1973 album, I've Got So Much to Give, was his debut solo project, and it featured the hit song, I'm Gonna Love You Just a Little More Baby. The song, with its sensual lyrics and lush orchestration, became an instant classic, marking the beginning of White's success as one of the most iconic voices of the disco era. The song's success launched White into stardom and set the stage for an entire catalog of love ballads. White's deep voice became synonymous with sensuality and romance. His next album, Stone Gone 1973, produced the hit Never Never Gonna Give You Up, which became one of his signature tracks. His style was unique, blending orchestral arrangements with smooth, funky rhythms, creating the Barry White sound. His lush productions, which often featured sweeping string sections and lush background vocals, were the perfect backdrop for his signature rich baritone voice. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, Barry White became a global superstar. His 1974 album, Can't Get Enough, featured the classic You're the First, the Last, My Everything, which became one of his most well-known hits. The song's infectious groove and heartfelt lyrics made it an anthem of love and devotion, and it remains one of White's most enduring tracks. His romantic ballads, like It's Ecstasy, When You Lay Down Next to Me and Let the Music Play, continued to dominate the charts, solidifying White's position as one of the most influential artists of the disco era. Despite his musical success, White's personal life was filled with ups and downs. He battled obesity and health issues, and his struggles with weight and diabetes affected his later years. In the 1990s, White experienced a career revival with the release of The Icon Is Love 1994, which included the hit single Practice What You Preach. The album's success introduced him to a new generation of listeners and marked his return to mainstream popularity. Barry White's health problems continued to worsen, and in 2003 he was hospitalized due to kidney failure. He passed away on July 4, 2003, at the age of 58, leaving behind a legacy of romantic, soul-soothing music. His impact on R&B, disco, and pop music is immeasurable, and his songs continue to be featured in movies, commercials, and celebrations of love. Barry White's deep, soulful voice remains a symbol of romance, and his music will forever evoke the warmth and tenderness of love. Tina Turner. Tina Turner, born Anna Mae Bullock on November 26, 1939 in Brownsville, Tennessee, was one of the most iconic figures in music history. Her journey from a small-town girl to a global rock and roll legend is nothing short of extraordinary. Raised in a segregated southern town, Turner experienced a difficult childhood marked by poverty and family instability. Her talent was evident from an early age, and she began singing in church choirs before moving to St. Louis, where she met Ike Turner, a legendary musician who would become both her musical partner and abusive husband. In the early 1960s, Tina Turner joined Ike Turner's band, the Ike and Tina Turner Revue, and they quickly gained popularity with songs like A Fool in Love and It's Gonna Work Out Fine. The couple's electric performances and Tina's raw, powerful voice made them one of the most prominent acts in the R&B and rock scenes. Their success continued with songs like Proud Mary, which became a massive hit in 1971, and River Deep Mountain High, produced by Phil Spector. However, behind the scenes, Tina's relationship with Ike was marred by physical and emotional abuse. In 1976, Tina Turner finally broke free from Ike, leaving the abusive relationship and embarking on a solo career. Her comeback was nothing short of legendary. In 1984, she released Private Dancer, which became one of the biggest albums of the 1980s. The album included hits like What's Love Got to Do With It and Better Be Good to Me, marking her resurgence as a global superstar. The former song won several Grammy Awards and became one of her signature songs, solidifying her as the queen of rock and roll. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Turner continued to tour, performing with unmatched energy and captivating audiences worldwide. Her 1985 Live in Europe album cemented her reputation as one of the greatest live performers of all time. Turner's music evolved over the years, blending rock, pop, and R&B with her unmistakable vocal style, and she became known for her powerful stage presence, striking performances, and enduring resilience. Tina Turner's personal life continued to be a story of triumph over adversity. In addition to her music, she became an advocate for domestic violence survivors, using her own experiences to inspire others. She later found happiness in her second marriage to German music executive Erwin Bach, with whom she lived in Switzerland for many years. On May 24, 2023, Tina Turner passed away at the age of 83 in her home in Küsnacht, Switzerland, after a long illness. Her death marked the loss of a true musical legend whose influence reached across genres and generations. Tina Turner's legacy as a pioneer for women in rock music, an advocate for resilience, and a vocal powerhouse continues to live on through her music, her story, and the countless artists she inspired. Songs like Simply the Best, Private Dancer, and Proud Mary remain timeless, a testament to her extraordinary career. Isaac Hayes. Isaac Hayes, born on August 20th, 1942 in Covington, Tennessee, was a trailblazer in the world of soul, funk, and disco music. Hayes had a passion for music from an early age, and his exceptional talent as a musician, composer, and producer would later define him as one of the most innovative artists of the 20th century. Raised in the segregated South, Hayes experienced many of the hardships that shaped his music, but his love for music and the support of his mother allowed him to explore his creativity. Hayes started his career as a session musician at Stax Records in Memphis in the 1960s, where he quickly made a name for himself as an in-demand producer and songwriter. He contributed to the success of many Stax artists, including Sam and Dave, and co-wrote some of their biggest hits like Soul Man and Hold On, I'm Comin'. However, it was in 1969 that Hayes launched his solo career with the release of Hot Buttered Soul, an album that would revolutionize the world of soul music. The album's distinctive blend of orchestral arrangements, funk, and deep soul made it a landmark in music history. Hayes' Hot Buttered Soul introduced his unmistakable baritone voice along with long, sensuous songs that took their time to build and explore deep emotional and sensual territories. Tracks like Walk On By and By, The Time I Get to Phoenix redefined the format of soul songs, stretching them into epic cinematic compositions. This album established him as a solo star, and Hayes became one of the most influential artists in soul and funk music. In 1971, Hayes released the soundtrack for the movie Shaft, which became a massive success. The title track theme from Shaft not only won an Academy Award for Best Original Song, but also became one of the most iconic songs of the era. The success of Shaft solidified Hayes as a star and established him as one of the most influential figures in the genre of funk and soul music. His work with the soundtrack was revolutionary, incorporating orchestral arrangements, rhythm, and his signature deep, smooth voice. Throughout the 1970s, Hayes continued to release successful albums and singles, including I Can't Help It and Do Your Thing. His music, which combined soul, funk, jazz, and orchestral arrangements, made him a key figure in the development of the 1970s sound. Hayes also expanded into acting, providing the voice for the character of Chef on the animated series South Park for many years, bringing his distinctive voice and personality to a new generation. In his later years, Hayes faced health issues, including a stroke which affected his ability to perform. On August 10, 2008, Isaac Hayes passed away at the age of 65 after suffering a stroke at his home in Memphis. His death marked the loss of one of the most innovative and influential artists in the history of music. Hayes's legacy, however, lives on through his groundbreaking music. His impact on the genre of soul and funk, and his role in bringing black music to the forefront of popular culture. His contributions to the world of soul, especially through his work with Stax and his classic albums, continue to inspire artists in multiple genres today. They were the voices that defined generations' legends, whose songs became the soundtrack of our lives. From Aretha Franklin's soul-shaking Respect, to Whitney Houston's earth-shattering ballads, from Marvin Gaye's fearless calls for change to Tina Turner's electrifying reinvention, these icons didn't just sing, they owned the stage and rewrote music history. But behind the spotlight lay battles with addiction, heartbreak, betrayal, and tragedy that the world rarely saw. Today, we uncover the untold truths, the highs and lows that shaped their journeys. Are you ready to see the real stories behind the legends? Hit subscribe, and let's begin.